Hey guys, how's it going? I've got a FIFA related video for you at long last, and it's FIFA 14, our first look that I had, hands-on preview and all that kind of stuff as well. So I thought I'd do a little video to break it down, let you know what I thought of it, allow you to ask me questions. Anything I can talk about I will, anything I do know I will let you know as well. Now I did the preview itself for clickonline.com. You can see a link in the description below, and of course I interviewed Kancho Duskoff as well. He's one of the producers on the title, so you can check that out. He talked a little bit about sweaty goals, what we can do to get indoor soccer back into the franchise, and a couple of other bits and pieces as well, so it might be interesting to check it out. The initial embargo was set for June 10th, it was moved forward to June 6th, but at the time I was really hoping that there'd be an Xbox One in the room. You know, it's so close to E3, but sadly not. So unfortunately they were only talking about the current generation on the day in terms of interviews and things like that, so there's no point wasting time asking them about, you know, the next Xbox and the PlayStation 4 and so on. So naturally I couldn't record any video footage either, because at the moment it's at a pre-alpha phase. They said it's about 60% complete at the moment. There's still plenty of tweaking to be done and a few, you know, issues to fix out. From a visual perspective and some of the presentation wise, it does look a lot like FIFA 13. So the pre-game intros and things like that, and even the team selection, it's very much FIFA that you've seen before. However, when you do pause the game in the game, or when you hit half time, the visual style is much more different. It's very clear, there's a very good interface just there for you. So you can see your squad management on the left and see player stamina as well, which is a really nice touch. And there's, you know, all your various options as well. It's much quicker to get into things like skill moves as well. In terms of team management, it's all pretty much what you'd expect. You get the same attributes, same traits, all the same characteristics and ratings and things like that. The colours for player positions have been changed, but it's no real major thing. On the subject of skill moves as well, you don't need to hold the modifier anymore, the left trigger or L2, to do a skill move. Instead you just move the right stick as you normally would, but it's not quite the extreme of FIFA Street where you just use a similar command regardless of the direction you're facing. So it makes things a little bit easier, and you can do things more naturally from the face-up dribble as well, which was introduced in FIFA 13 of course. Now the reason that this button has been removed is because it's actually been remapped to a different command. You can now protect the ball, but instead of just having to stand still or move at a very slow pace and let the AI do it automatically, you can hold the left trigger and you can dribble. And this actually happens at any speed as well. You don't have quite as much control, but players do get a bit more physical, get a bit more aggressive. There's a bit more hustle and bustle and a bit of tussling, and that's an awful lot of rhyming for one sentence. But they showed off a couple of examples. You'll probably see this in the E3 videos as well, of like Drogba using his size, using his strength to just hold people off, or even kind of shoulder charge people off the ball, or when the ball is within reach but not quite under his control. So he tries to get his body in the way, tries to utilise his massive bulk basically. And you'll see this a lot more in the game, where players will occasionally get distracted from the ball at the moment and kind of get involved in a bit of a wrestling match for possession. That'll probably be tweaked a little bit because there was a bit of off the ball shenanigans almost. However, it does mean that with stronger players you can hold off the pace of your defenders, and what EA have said is that it's to make more types of players more useful. So you'll probably come into this in Ultimate Team, which we didn't get to look at unfortunately, so this is kind of a guesswork thing, but you'll see players with strength and things like that coming more to the fore rather than just the pacier players who of course have been so popular in the past. And Kancho touched on this in his interview as well. One of the big things that they've introduced now is called precision movement. They try and make sure that every step counts, is what they've said. Instead of blended animations and things like that, it's all step based, and it's all very much momentum based. Now try not to get too worried with the use of the word momentum. It's not what you'd typically associate with it in terms of FIFA, but it is typically associated with it in terms of a dictionary definition of momentum. So players will have to kind of slow down, they'll have to make their steps and then do the turn. Now if you felt like players turn like boats before, you may not be too happy with this touch as well, because you'll no longer go from a sprint into like a 90-degree turn and things like that. Players will have to plant their foot, shift their weight and kind of get that momentum behind them so that they can burst out of whatever motion they're in. So you do see players taking a bit more time to make their turns and things like that. It means that you have to be more cautious about what you do. So if you're making passes and you're a little bit loose, which manual players may not appreciate, you'll have to be more vigilant at putting it to the player's feet or into space in the direction they're going, because if they have to check their run or if they have to turn even, it's going to take them a bit more time, and that gives the defender a fraction to get in, or of course you may lose the battle with the touchline. It also means in defence you can't be quite as aggressive as you would have been before, so you'll have to do more of the shepherding people towards positions and things like that, rather than hustling them for the ball all the time and trying to like be on their shoulder, because if they make a turn and you're sprinting around the place, you're going to go past them, you're going to be arcing your run around them basically, and it means if they're a bit more nimble, they have a bit better ball control, they can just go past you with ease. So all of this is built on kind of real movement, or of course precision movement, as they've said, and it does look more accurate. It does actually change the way the game plays as well, because as I say, you need to be more cautious, maybe a bit more hesitant about making lunges in and things like that. One of the defensive elements I was trying to keep an eye out for was the contain approach to the game. Now, I don't use contain myself really in previous FIFAs and things like that. I prefer to track the run, which of course was very important last year. So I'm not exactly an expert when it comes to holding down A and seeing what that is in comparison to other ones. When I did use it, he did seem to kind of jockey in front of him and keep that position pretty well. So it seems pretty similar. I'm going to go with. Whether that's for better or worse, I'll leave that up to yourselves. Now, what I did see a change in was the AI teammate pressure. They're a bit more cautious again. The momentum system is clearly in their head. So instead of charging at the ball and running around and harassing people relentlessly, they will keep a little bit of distance between themselves and the ball most of the time, and then they will try and nip in and take the ball away from them. Now, with the protect the ball that I talked about earlier and the possible wrestling matches that came into it, there's obviously going to be a bit more stress on the impact engine. I talked to Kancho about this again. He says it's been refined once again. You know, they've tried to make modifications and all of that. I think I only had 1 or 2 dog piles in it, but again, as I say, 60% completion, definitely a bit more tweaking to be done before the game is fully released. Now, there are some subtleties and small changes that I really did like. I mean, they're small implementations, but they make things a lot more natural, a lot more fluid, and it kind of goes with some of the bigger changes like the precision movement and the physicality. So for through balls, for example, for the lob through ball, they didn't really catch me too much, the lob through ball through the centre, but then again, I was good at defending them in FIFA 13. So again, we'll have to see once people get online if that tactic works out quite as well this time around. However, one of the things that does work out nicely is you can live out your inner Paul Scholes or Stevie G with the crossfield diagonal ball. The through ball like that can work out quite well. It looks quite nice as well. And one of the other things they added was this kind of curve to the outside of the boot lob through ball again. And there's a nice sway to it. It looks really impressive when you do it. I saw FIFA Raleigh pull it off once, and he didn't score from it, but it looked really good. You're definitely going to see that in a few compilations. So one of the things they have talked about so far and shown off is the new shot physics and things like that. It's an interesting little change. It can make some goals look really impressive, and I'm sure we'll see plenty of these crop up in goal compilations from time to time as well. You know, you've got your different types of shots, and it all depends on player positioning, how you approach the ball, the strike you get off, all that kind of things as well. Some of the goals can look really nice, especially some of the off-balance shots, but I'm sure there will be some times where we see our players fall over, and of course that's going to be the thing we're crying out is, how did he fall over? I could have made that shot, all this kind of stuff as well. So the off-balance stuff, likely to cause some controversy. The shot physics, definitely going to cause some mesmerising moments though. I know I cropped up with 1 or 2 goals that would make any highlight reel. Sky Sports will be calling any day now. But as I've mentioned, goal compilations and shots and mesmerising moments and highlight reels and all this kind of stuff, the other side of the coin is goalkeepers. Now personally, I thought there was a bit of an improvement. They have a few new animations for when they're coming out on one-on-one opportunities. I thought they were a bit better at them, but then again, I've never been that clinical in the one-on-one situations. I saw them handle long shots a bit better than usual. They'd often catch them, which was kind of a novelty, and even when they were parrying them away, it wasn't usually towards an attacker, I don't think. Now, of course, they are still prone to moments of wackiness. There was one cross I tried my keeper to come out for, and he kind of fluffed at the cross, fell to a striker. That was me 1-0 behind. And I saw FIFA Raleigh take the slowest shot, the slowest, most trickling shot I've ever seen in my life. Tweet him about this, YouTube him about it. Make sure he mentions it in his preview. Took this awful scuffed shot from the outside of the box, and the keeper made this awful dive where he just kind of lay down on the ground, slowly moved towards it, and somehow misjudged the distance, and it went in. So I've no idea how it happened. Definitely get on to him about it and make sure that he knows that other people know about it. We saw in the last FIFA that quick throw-ins were a bit improved. You know, the players would manage to pick up the ball more often than not, which is great to see from a professional footballer. But those kind of things return an awful lot more this time around. So you'll see a lot more quick throw-ins. You really have to be on the ball to make sure you're tracking the runs and things like that, because they will try and take as many quick throw-ins as possible. They'll keep the game ticking along nicely, and it does make for a more seamless experience. It's a nice touch, but it does mean that you have to stay on the ball whenever possible. And of course, one of the other things that make goal compilations either special or not so special is the defensive effort. Now, tracking runs, it's supposed to be much improved. I saw a bit of an improvement, but there were still some moments where I was kind of left scratching my head as to why a centre-back wouldn't have tracked their particular man or player. Again, it comes down to tweaking, and there's plenty of time for that between now and September. So in my own mind, it's a little difficult to get away from the fact that this might be a FIFA 13.5. They have introduced the new gameplay elements, new mechanics and things like that, which do refine and balance the gameplay, but when you see the next gen on the not too distant horizon, and of course packing a new Ignite engine as well, which They haven't talked about an awful lot, but it could change the way games play out, and of course it could introduce new mechanics or elements of its own. Now I will say FIFA 14 is definitely shaping up to be a lot of fun. Obviously there's a few tweaks and things like that, so hopefully there won't be too many moments of madness. I mean, the first touch is definitely going to be refined, some of the player intelligence where they control the ball with their left foot rather than their right foot hopefully, but things like that, will all be ironed out over the next couple of months. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it may have been a little bit lengthy, I apologise for that, but hopefully it's been entertaining throughout. Hopefully it's taught you a few things about what to expect from FIFA 14. Of course, check out the written preview from clickonline.com and the interview. And if you have any questions for me, I'll try to answer them in the comment section below as well. And you can catch me on Twitter at Saber0001. So thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed the novelty of a FIFA video on my channel, and I hope to catch you all very soon with some more videos in the near future.